Good afternoon, everyone. This is Megan Fournier. I am the Meeting and Education Coordinator for the Home Care Alliance in Massachusetts. I just want to go over a couple of things before we begin. First off, this webinar is being recorded, so for some reason if you need to leave early or you want to send it over to some of your other staff members, it will be available to you after the webinar is over. Most likely be sent out later today, if not tomorrow morning. Along with that, everyone's in mute only just for the sake of consistency and ability to get through the program. But questions will be available, but we'll save them to the end so we can get through the whole presentation. When you have a question, you can write it in the questions tab, which is in the sidebar of the webinar that you're on at the moment. So you can write them whenever you want, and we'll just address them at the end. So with that, I am now going to hand it over to Peggy Patton.
Thank you, Megan. First, I'll go ahead and introduce myself and give you a little bit of background on who you're listening to. As I said, my name is Peggy Patton. I'm the Vice President of Education Services at Corridor. I've been in healthcare for 30-plus years, starting in the acute care arena and then navigating through technology over to the home health, hospice, non-acute side of healthcare. I've been with Corridor for about 8 years, working in education services. Megan and I have worked together to bring some benefits to the association members and the association itself with some of Corridor's services. So I want to thank all of you for taking the time out of your busy day to attend this presentation. First, I just want to give a very broad, brief overview of Corridor. Corridor has been in business for a little over 26 years. We started as a company that provided consulting services to the home health and hospice arena. Our business has grown significantly. Following consulting, education was added, which includes products and now e-learning, which I'll go into greater detail on both of those for you. But we also have compliance services, operations services, revenue cycle management, and outsourced coding services, which includes OASIS review. So under each of those umbrellas, as you can see on this screen, we offer varied services. So the core services are our education, which includes policy and procedure manuals, our CHECS e-learning platform, and other products that we offer through our web store. Our professional services are a lot of different services: operations, regulatory, merger and acquisition, compliance assessment, on-site training engagements, mock surveys, and we also provide interim placement or management in leadership positions within organizations. And then lastly, the revenue cycle management piece of our business includes the coding, OASIS review, billing, collections, appeals, audits, and AR recovery from outstanding accounts. So we offer a lot of varied services. What Megan and I have done together is form an agreement between Corridor and the Home Care Association of Massachusetts to enable us and the Home Care Association to provide education services to their members at discounted rates. So on this screen, you see the two areas within education that I am responsible for and that we are offering to you as members. The first that we'll talk about as we go through the slide deck is CHECS e-learning. And the second is the Corridor Bookstore, also known as our web store, or the place that you can access and purchase products. So we're going to touch on both of these. And as I walk through these, Think of questions, even if you think they may or may not pertain to one of these two items that we're focusing on today. I probably can answer them or at least get an answer for you. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about the CHEX eLearning. Our eLearning platform is a web-based platform. So what that means is your users from any device, and when I say any device, it can be a PC, it can be a tablet, a laptop, a smartphone or smart device. Our platform is accessible if that device has internet connectivity. So each individual that accesses our platform has a unique username and password. And this is very purposeful. This is so organizations can track and manage education across their organization, and secondly, so the end user can print their own continuing ed certificates or completion certificates. So many of you may already use eLearning. Many of you may manage education in-house with articles, classroom training, etc. There probably isn't one single answer to providing education, but we feel like the eLearning platform is a good adjunct to what you may already be doing and may even replace some of it and give you the ability to free up resources to do other things within your organization around education. Right now, our platform has approximately 720 courses. These courses are designed to assist the non-acute market. So our courses are not facility-based, they're not hospital-based. They're home care based. We have a strong emphasis on home health and hospice. So on the home health side, as you will see here in an upcoming slide, we focus very heavily on OASIS and regulatory type items. Same on the hospice side, COPs, regulations around levels of care and billing, those type of things. So our courses are very specific to the post-acute market. In addition, we have a large selection of courses that are not necessarily home health and hospice specific, but very, very relevant to what you do day in and day out. We have a large suite of HIPAA courses. I believe there's 19 HIPAA courses within our suite of HIPAA. Everything from what is HIPAA to breach to disclosures to privacy, to security, to business associates. It's a very complete package of what I'll call HIPAA. HIPAA is not unique to home health and hospice, but very specific to healthcare. That's one example. A lot of courses on leadership, communication, safety, compliance. So that just kind of gives you an idea of some general categories that we offer content in. Those courses that are specific to home health and hospice and that offer continuing education for the clinicians are evidence-based training. They're very comprehensive, they're interactive, and they really focus on what the clinician or the staff in home health and hospice need to be successful in their day in and day out roles. Our courses meet CMS, OSHA, HIPAA, and accrediting body regulatory guidelines. One question that came to the forefront, and I get asked quite often, is very state-specific or organization-specific questions. And those are great questions. And no matter what state you're in, you may have some very specific requirements that you need to meet or very specific organizational requirements that you need to meet. The majority of our courses are general. They set at the CMS, OSHA, HIPAA, and accrediting body level. Whereas we do give our clients the ability to upload their own content so that they can have a mix of our content and their own. So a good example of when I say upload your own content, people are probably thinking, I don't develop e-learning content. But really, any type of media or content that you can create can be housed on our platform. It could be a PDF. It can be a recorded webinar. It can be a PowerPoint. And it can be a true authored course. So any format can be converted into e-learning. And the nice thing, you and only your organization will see your content. No one else that uses our platform would have access or any visibility to your content. So it makes a nice blend where you can use specific agency content and our content as well. I mentioned CE certificates. We do offer continuing education credits for nursing and for social work. A very common question that I get is, do you offer CEs for therapists? At this time, we do not offer therapy CEs. The struggle that we've had with therapy CEs is there's such state-specific requirements around the type, amount of education, and if they accredit vendors or only organizations. So we have not gone down the path, even in the states that we can, to offer therapy CEs at this point in time. And like I said, it's web-based, so it's accessible from any device at any time, as long as you have internet connectivity and a username and password. The nice thing about the web-based is there's nothing for you to maintain. We keep the content updated. We manage the learning management platform and support you as our clients. The only content that you would be responsible to maintain is if you added your own content. So one example I was going to give of content, this is a listing that you can see on the screen of OASIS content. OASIS is, very significant for home health. Hospice doesn't care about the OASIS content, but we have a nice suite of OASIS courses and are already down the path of the evaluation and the conversion and creation of new courses for OASIS C2. As you all know, the C2 regulations or changes, if you will, go into effect January 1st, 2017. So we want to be well prepared and have our clients well prepared for that transition. It's a little bit of a slippery slope because you still have to be proficient in OASIS C1 as you're getting C2 under your belt. So we're going to help our clients prepare for that. In addition to content for home health, we offer content for hospice too. This is just a small selection of courses that I would consider specific to hospice. Care of the dying, coping with loss, it really is appropriate for both service lines. We tend to see our hospices navigating more towards those than the home health. But we have many, many organizations that are dual service line and use those across their entire organization. So this is just a very small sampling of the courses on these last two slides for home health and for hospice. Like I said, there's over 700 courses in the platform. So I will provide to Megan a full course list so that she can share that with you all so that you get a better idea of what we offer on our platform. And through the agreement that Corridor and the Home Care Association of Massachusetts has formed is preferred pricing on our platform for association members. In general, historically, we price based on the number of users that an organization brings onto the platform. We don't sell to individual users. We sell into organizations. So we've had a tiered pricing that we've utilized, and we're going to be giving preferred pricing to the Massachusetts members to enable them to come onto a platform for a very reasonable price point, which is a benefit to you all as members. And then secondly, we want it to also benefit the association so that they have the ability to do more things for you as members. This is just a screenshot of what our login page looks like. So when a user either clicks on the link that may be on their desktop or saved in their favorites on their PC, for example, or laptop, this is the login screen that a user will see. And like I said, each individual user would have to enter a username and password, and then when they click login, it will take them into the platform. What this screenshot is displaying is what we call the user homepage. So it's very easy for the users to access the content that they have been registered for. So in this screenshot, John, the user, has been pre-registered for these 3 courses. So they are front and center for him to go out, access, take, complete, and successfully pass a test that's associated with them. Our platform has the ability to create compliance paths, which is a group of courses that date expectations can be placed around. Individual courses and compliance paths can be made mandatory. There's all types of feature functionality within the platform that allows for auto registration when users come on, like new hires. They automatically get a new hire orientation package that you've set up. Really, you are able to design your access to the platform to really function how you need it to work for you. Now I'm going to kind of flip over away from e-learning, and I know many of you may have questions, and that's fine. If you just put them into the question pane, Megan and I will address those when we get closer to the end of this presentation. The second side of education services is Corridor Bookstore, or our web store. Out on our web store, we offer many products that are authored by Corridor, meaning we create the content for subject matter experts across the United States that work with Corridor, create operational policy and procedure manuals. We have manuals for all accrediting bodies, both for home health and hospice, Joint Commission, ACHC, and CHAP. We also have personal care or private duty manuals as well. The majority of our manuals are not customized to state-specific. We do have some state-specific manuals, but more often than not, our state-specific manuals are done on a custom basis, as when we do the state-specific customization, oftentimes we'll also do organization customization. They may have elements of the manual that are specific to their organization that they want inserted into the manuals as well. We offer our manuals and many other products both in a print format as well as electronic formats. We offer them in CD and or web hosted. So we have a lot of options to deliver our products, not just in print format. I will have to say, I would say the majority of our clients still like print resources. They like them on the shelf. They like to be able to grab them, pull them off, and have them readily available, especially policy and procedure manuals when a surveyor walks in. With the policy and procedure manuals, I don't have it on here, also comes an HR manual. The HR manual has HR policies, if you will. It also has job descriptions and competencies for those job descriptions or those roles. So that is a package deal with the operational policy and procedure manuals. We also have other operational and clinical resource guides. We have Home Health and Hospice Manager Quick Guides, COP handbooks. Home Health is revising their COPs, and we'll be rolling out a new Home Health COP handbook. We offer Quick Flips, which for hospice are designed by the MAC. We also offer Home Health and Therapy Quick Flips. We do industry-specific webinars on relevant topics. They're not always presented by Corridor themselves, but we reach out across the nation to get experts in these specific topics so that we present the most up-to-date, the most relevant information that's most valuable to you all. We also have survey toolkits for home health and hospice, and really many, many other products. If you're out on our web store, you will also notice that we resell other companies, if you will, products. So we have partnerships with the VNAA in reselling their policy and procedure manual for clinical procedures. We have other partners as well that we resell training DVDs, other resource guides, etc. for home health and hospice. So you will see those if and when you go out to our bookstore. On the screen, I included the access to the bookstore. www.shoptcg.com will take you straight to our bookstore, and you can navigate around. For members, we have created a coupon code or a discount code. So on any Corridor product that you purchase from the bookstore, you can enter at the checkout in the coupon code field HCAMA, and it will automatically reduce 15% off of your purchase. Now, all of our pricing includes shipping and handling, so there's no additional fees included at checkout for shipping and handling. One thing that I did want to say when I touched on webinars, we recently did, and some of you may have attended, we recently presented a webinar introducing home health QAPI. This webinar was free to the industry. We had over 400 registrants for the webinar. It was so popular and it was really informational that we placed that recorded webinar out on our YouTube channel. So that webinar is accessible for all of you to go out and access and listen to if it's of interest for you. I am going to send Megan the information on accessing our YouTube channel so that she can send that out to all members. But if you do have a pen with you, you can go and out in your browser, just type in Corridor QAPI and click your search button, and our YouTube channel will come up as the second listing, and then just click on QAPI for Home Health. It will be the first presentation. It's about 40 minutes in duration, but I think you'll find it really informational and very helpful based on home health QAPI. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I will also share that with Megan so that she can give you that information as a resource down the road if it's not of interest right now. We'll open this up for questions, but I also wanted to put my contact information on the screen if once we've concluded, or if anyone watches this outside of this presentation, they will have my email and or Jonathan Woodham, who works and is responsible for the North and Northeast, and I included his email address as well. I don't have my phone number on here, but I can give you my direct phone number. It is 913-462-0603. That's my phone number. So Megan, I can answer any questions that anyone may have.
Great, thank you, Peggy. As a reminder, as I asked the first few questions, if you do have any questions, now's a great time to ask, because I'm sure everyone might have a similar question or might bring up something that someone else wasn't thinking of. So you can write it in the questions tab in the sidebar of this webinar session. So the first question we have is, do you have pediatric and vent-focused care courses available?
Right now, that's a great question. We used to offer an entire suite of pediatric content, and it was pretty arduous to keep current, and we had very few clients that used the pediatric content. We audited the use of the content for 12 to 18 months and really had about a 2% usage rate, and so we removed that content from our platform and no longer offer pediatric content. So whomever asked that's probably got a frown on their face, but we do not currently, and quite honestly, we don't get a lot of requests for pediatric content. So I think that's an interesting question. I'm never opposed to, exploring, other avenues of, adding additional content, but just, in the recent past few years, we've not had a lot of inquiry for pediatric content.
Great. The next question we have is, are there any critical thinking or simulation models?
So simulation, I'm guessing, I'm not sure. I think, yes, our modules, we have several courses that, are based on critical thinking. A great one is Oasis Room by Room. I think simulation is a little bit more difficult for me to answer. I don't know if they're referencing like the use of avatars, demonstrating something, and then you as a learner demonstrate it back through the e-learning. I'm not sure. There's a lot of iterations of simulation, so I'm not exactly sure how to answer that. An example, our Oasis Room by Room, you take the patient room by room and are presented appropriate M-item questions for that room within the home, if you will, like a start of care. So when you're in the bathroom, you're doing grooming, toileting, those type of things. So I'm not exactly sure what they may have meant by simulation.
They said as a follow-up, simulation to me means the learner makes decisions and the software shows the clinical outcome.
The Oasis Room by Room does that. Every course has embedded questions or competencies based on content that they've already been presented, and then the user answers it and then is given the correct or incorrect response depending upon how they answered it. So in one sense, that's a level of simulation. It's more, in my mind, a level of competency, if you will, of the content that was already covered. With that being said, then every single course has a competency test associated with it.
Great. The next question we have is, does Home Care Institute supply some of your courses to you, and do you have any other vendors you use for courses?
Home Care Institute does not supply courses to us. Home Care Institute, the owner of Home Care Institute, previously worked with Corridor on a contract basis and provided content to us. And it's a question that I get, I wouldn't say often, but on occasion, as that individual did offer content for us, and we've revised the content, changed the content, but because we named the courses to start with before Home Care Institute was in business, we kept some of those names that were used outside of our company. We also work with other partners, IPCED, Institute of Professional Caregiver Education. We also work with EJ4, which has a large suite of leadership, mentoring, those more what I'd call kind of soft skills, communication, those type of courses. So we work with other course providers as well.
Great. Let's see. Is there volunteer training material?
There is volunteer training material, and that's actually in our work queue for some additional, not only on the e-learning platform, but also a volunteer resource packet and guide in our product side as well.
Great. What reporting mechanisms are there?
In the learning platform, I guess is what you're asking. We have a pretty robust reporting feature that those with the designated role of managers in each organization have the ability to report off really on any learning activity that is occurring within their organization. So in our platform, you can set up what we call a hierarchy. So just for the sake of example, and I know it's kind of hard to visualize this, but your organization, ABC Home Health, sits at the top, and you may have 4 locations, the north, the south, the east, and the west. You can have managers over each location, manager at the top level. The top level can see everyone. The manager at the north can only see the individuals within the north, and they can assign, track, monitor. They can generate reports on any of the activity. Our reports can be scheduled. What that means, you can set a schedule, run me this report every Monday, and deliver it via email to my inbox. We also have in our platform what's called ad hoc reporting, that every data field is available, that you can create your own customized reports from the data fields in the learning management platform, and those too can be scheduled. So that may be a unique need that you have. Now, the ad hoc reports, I think you need to use the system and get familiar with the data fields, and then tackle ad hoc reports. I don't think it's hard. I just think you need to know what the fields are to create reports that are meaningful. But I feel like we have a robust reporting system. All reports can be exported in multiple formats. They can be emailed right when you, even if you don't have a scheduled report, you can email them to someone. You pull it up and you can say, hey, email this report to Peggy. I want her to look at this. So you do have those abilities in our reporting system.
Great. The next question we have is, on your online learning site, is there a place to also load documents for clinicians to access, such as agency policies, procedures, and processes?
There is, and we call those, our nomenclature for that is library items. We can load those up into the system. Say your infection control policy changes, and you want all of your field staff to read that. It's loaded up. It can be assigned to everyone. It can be tracked just like a course when they've accessed it. You can also add an e-signature attestation to it. It becomes part of their transcript once they complete it. So when you look at their learning transcript, you will also see those type of items as well, not just courses. So absolutely, you can add those.
Next up is there an opportunity for a free trial?
There is. There is. You see my email address, or you can, get my information from Megan, and I will get you set up with everything that you need.
Great. Next up is agency is charged for services. Is it a flat rate or based on number of courses accessed? Do you have to commit to specific time periods for your services?
Okay. For the e-learning, the answer is yes on most of those. I'll just kind of outline it in a broad stroke. For the e-learning, we create a contractual agreement with clients. You all would be at the preferred pricing that we've agreed upon with the association. Our agreements are based on users. So if you're an organization with 50 users, it would be 50 times the price, and that would be your fee for unlimited access to all courses. So we made a decision that instead of picking and choosing, we just give you wide open to the entire library, and then you could use what you wanted to use instead of trying to piecemeal it. It's really easier for us. It's really a greater benefit for you, because as we add new content, then you're not locked into a library. So the minimum time period is for 1 year. Then the second piece of that, in the example that I used, 50 learners or 50 staff people that you're bringing on, we try to understand turnover in organizations. So if you have a clinician that you've brought onto the e-learning and she's been with your org, let's say, for 5 months, and she terminates and leaves, you have the ability to put her replacement hire into that vacated seat. That new employee then can take all the education that she wants, and you do not pay an additional fee for that added individual. The only time you pay for additional seats, if you will, is if your agency grows. All 50 seats are full, and you hire 5 more staff because you've grown, you have a higher census, and you need 5 additional learners, then at your agreed upon rate, we put those 5 additional learners on. So that, in a nutshell, is how our agreements work.
Awesome. So the next question we have, I'm not sure if we can do it or not, but they're wondering if you can provide a demo for us all now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, I can. Hang on, okay?
All right.
Let me get to where I need to go.
And while we're waiting, everyone, there is the contact information to receive your individual demos, which will allow you to ask more specific questions that you might have as you're going through it as well. This is a great opportunity to get the basics of the demo, but if you want like a more in-depth one or anything, it is available to you at any time. So
yeah. So this is now I've shut down the PowerPoint. I'm now into the actual platform. So this looks familiar to you all. This is the screenshot that I had from our URL if you know, a user would go in to log in. So I've just put in an account that I have set up for myself, and you can see it's unique. No one else would have this login, only me. So each individual user has their own unique login. So when I log into the platform, it takes me to my home page. All of the courses that you see here on this home page are courses that I have been assigned to, okay? So this means either I have registered for them or the organization that I work for has registered me for them. You can see that there are multiple courses out here, and you can see something that is termed a compliance path. So I just want to show you what this is. A compliance path is a grouping of courses that agencies can name whatever they want to call it. I have this Corridor Group 2016 Annual Mandatory. I've set a date range for when I need to complete it. And every registration that a user has, if we have the user's email address, and that preferably is their work email address, they get notifications for every assignment that they're registered for. When they're registered for a compliance path, they also get reminders. You have 1 month to complete your compliance path, or you have 2 weeks, you have 1 week, you've missed your compliance path, please speak with your manager. So those automatic notifications go out to users anytime, A, they're registered, and also when they have date ranges that they need to complete education on. So the home page is really kind of the learner's guide. They pop this open. It's the first page on login, and it shows them exactly what they need to complete, and if they have date requirements, it will display here. Also, if something's been made mandatory for them, they'll have a red M next to that assignment. I assigned these all to myself, so I didn't make any of them mandatory. I did put a date range around this one, but if they were mandatory or a prerequisite, that would be highlighted next to the course or the compliance path. Just so you get a feel for what a compliance path is, like I said, it's a grouping of courses. In this compliance path, you can see that there's 8-10 courses that are all placed within this one compliance path that I am required to complete. A compliance path is only deemed complete once every assignment or requirement within that compliance path has been completed. So in this one, I have 11 requirements. If I complete 10, my compliance path is not completed until I complete all 11. When an assignment is complete, it drops off of my home page, and it will no longer appear here, but it will appear in my transcript, or where all of my learning has been completed. I have access to it out here. This is where I print certificates. If I'm a manager, this is where I can go into detail on any given user. But this is a listing of all of the education that I have completed. And if I have taken a test, it's going to show my test score as well. You see this list here? Remember out on the home page when I said there's a date and I had a date obligation? I did not meet this date obligation. So at midnight on that date, if I've not completed a mandatory assignment by the due date, it drops off of my home page and it hits my transcript as missed. My manager gets a notification and that I missed it, and they will need to reassign this education to me, give me a new due date so that I have the opportunity to complete it. But it gives them a history that I was not compliant with the education that they set forth. Now, from some organizations, they're okay with that. For others, they use it as a metric for evaluations and things like that. You always want to give them the opportunity to complete it, because if there's HIPAA or something like that that you know they have to have, it gives you the ability to reassign that education. So a learner has access to their transcript, and they have access to the home page where all assignments are contained. The only other thing a learner has access to is the entire catalog of education. So it's set up in categories: business basics, clinical development, compliance and regulatory. You remember on the slide, there's 700 plus courses in the library. No user or manager is going to remember every single title. So we place them into categories, if you will, to help with that search feature. So if I'm looking for something that logically should be under compliance and regulatory, it will be in this category. I also have the ability to open up the entire library and see all courses in alpha order, or if I search by a key term, just say Oasis, and click the search button, it's going to go out to the library and it's going to filter those 700 courses for me as a learner and bring forward any course that has Oasis in the title. So a learner has access to 3 places. You want them to get out there and take their education. You want them to be able to see their completions and print certificates, and then if and when they have time, they can come out and register for education over and above what you're asking them to do as an organization. Then on the manager side, we call it the admin side, the manager has access to different things than the learner. The manager can always take education as well, and you can always track any manager's education, and the manager's manager can track what they're doing as well. But this gives the manager the ability to monitor users within the system or groups of users. It gives them the ability to mass register. So in that example of the compliance path, an annual mandatory compliance path, I can pick what I want to register for. I pick the specific curriculum, and I'm only going to see what I, as a manager, have access to. And let's pick this again for the sake of example. I can make it mandatory. If I make it mandatory, a user does not have the ability to drop it or remove it off of their home page. If I, as a user, go out and pick any course out of the library, it's not going to be mandatory. It's a conscious decision that I went out and selected a course. I can drop it. It can sit on my home page, has no requirements around it, and if I at some point decide, I don't want to take that course, I can drop it off of my home page without any consequences. But if a course is made mandatory or a compliance path with due dates assigned for a user, they cannot remove it off of their home page. It's a requirement that they complete it. You can see it's 3 steps here. I want to assign a compliance path, annual mandatory. I click Next, and it's going to give me a search field. And I can go in here and pick my organization, and I'm going to type in corridor because I know it exists. And you will only have access to the organizations within your organization to assign to. So if I only had education services, this would be the only level that would show for me. But since I'm over all of Corridor, I'm going to select Corridor Employees and click Select, and it's going to select this group of users for me. I'm going to go to Next, and it's going to show an entire list of users that I can register for this specific compliance path. By selecting this button right here, it's going to pick all users in the organization, and I will click Finish, and that compliance path of 11 courses goes on every single one of those users' homepage. It's now an assignment. Each one will get a notification that they've been assigned, and each individual learner will now have access to that compliance path. So it's really quick to assign masses of people to education. Another feature, when you build compliance paths, you can set them up to auto-register. So you have a new hire compliance path, for example. When you set up that compliance path, you put rules around it, and as new employees come on, they will automatically be assigned that new hire compliance path. Or one time a year, everyone will be assigned their annual mandatory. So there's rules within the system that you can add when you build or set up learning that's specific to your organization that allows you to manage it easier. So this is just a quick example of the registration wizard, and I'm not going to assign all of the employees this education because they've already taken it and they wouldn't be very happy with me if they got assigned it a second time. We also have a completion wizard. So for any time, and it works exactly, you see the same screens for the completion wizard that you see for the registration wizard. But if you have a session in-house, everybody needs to be in conference room 1 on Monday at 7 a.m. for a message from the CEO. You can set that up as a training in the platform, assign it to everyone, keep a roster because it's outside of the check system. Come in here and force pass everyone that was on the roster so that it's part of their transcript and you know that they attended that mandatory in-house session, whatever it may be. So an individual asked about what we call the library items. We have courses, which is pretty self-explanatory. We have training sessions. Those are events that happen outside of checks that can be tracked within checks. They have to be set up, but those are the events that may happen in a conference room or elsewhere. They're not e-learning, they're events elsewhere but can be tracked in the system. The event management works hand in hand with training session. Library, this can be an e-book, it can be a PDF, it can be a document, it can be any thing really that I don't call a course but could be considered education that can be added to the learning management platform. Assigned, can be added into compliance paths. It can be part of your education and or education requirements for your staff. Also have the ability to build checklists. These checklists can be the free text. You can create them to appear as you want them to appear. A lot of our clients use a new hire orientation checklist where you're given your employee handbook, yes or no. They're interactive or can be set up interactive between the user and their checks manager, where they answer, submit it, the manager signs off on it, and then it becomes part of the user transcript. Library items, courses, you can set them up with an attestation. When they get to the end of it, they sign in with their username and password into the course, and it stamps them with an e-signature. So if you have them sign a code of conduct every year, for example, that can be part of this, and that can be tracked in their transcript. Learning paths, we use learning paths really heavily. It's a course and a test bundled together. And a compliance path is any type of curricula that you bundle together and put a date range around and mass assign a group of courses to a learner or a group of learners. This is the reports that I talked about. Standard reports, there's a list of standard reports that you can run. The screens look almost nearly to what I searched on the registration wizard. You will have access to see the organizations that you have security to, and then you can pull reports on those individuals. In the reporting feature, this is the ad hoc where you build reports, and this is where you go and schedule any ad hoc or standard report. So a lot of the screens look alike as you march through the system, and that's very purposeful. That's so it's easy to use. So all of the search screens look the same. The setup for any type of curricula all look the same. They're just defined by the name of the curricula, whether it be a library item, a course, a learning path, or a compliance path. And then the components that are unique then are included in that type of curricula. Under other configurations, this is where you see setup for some of our very, very large organizations. They may have to schedule various conference rooms, things like that. We don't have a lot of people that use this. Most of our users have one or two conference rooms or an education room, and that's where they hold their training sessions or events. We have some very, very large ones that in a health system they have to book rooms, and so they put their rooms in here and really track it. Resource reservations might be a flip chart or a projector or things like that. We don't see that used very heavily at all, but it is available to use. So I like to think our system is super easy to use. Then we have a level of permissions and access far and above what this is that we utilize to support you and to help you as a client. So we see things that you don't see on these drop downs, but that gives us the ability to support you. So for example, you want to add content or you want us to help you set up a checklist. We can dial in and do that with you through our own permissions and pass controls back and forth to assist you in doing that. We don't go out and examine our clients' content. We don't approve or disapprove it. If a client wants to put content onto the platform, we allow them to place content onto the platform. So, there are some size limitations for videos, but we have a tool that we can compress recordings and videos so that we can shrink down the size and improve the quality for our clients. If they've created something in-house that's a little bit too big for us to support, we try to shrink it down and do whatever we can to support their content. We have account managers that provide the support to our clients, so you're assigned an account manager when you come onto the platform. Generally, an implementation will take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, depending upon your size. We have people that come on that need to get up and running very quickly for whatever reason, and we've done pretty sizable clients in a week to 10 days, but it does take some dedication on their side as well. But it's very, very easy to implement. We provide user guides, manager guides. We record our training sessions and place them out in your library so you always have access to them and can review them. If you have a manager that leaves and you need a new manager training, then we do that for you, and we don't charge extra for those trainings. That's part of what you buy into when you utilize our platform. That's a fast, down and dirty demo, Megan.
Well, that was great. I hope people found that very helpful. That was really good to see, and I think, and as a reminder, if you want to see another demo or something even more in depth than what Peggy just did, you can contact. Is his name John? Sorry, forgive me. I just forgot the name of.
Yeah, Jonathan Woodham or myself, either one, and we'll get it taken care of. So.
That's great.
Yeah, and both of our contact is right there on the screen, so don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll do it at your convenience, so that you can get in at a little deeper level and kind of take it for a test drive.
That's wonderful. So we have one more question that we'll end out the session with, and again, if you have questions afterwards, like Peggy mentioned, you can email her, you can email myself or Jonathan and learn more about this program. But this question that we have is, do you have home health value-based purchasing courses?
Home health value-based purchasing courses?
Correct.
I don't yet, but when OASIS C2 rolls out, some of the changes that they've implemented within that, are because of value-based purchasing, number one. I think that's a really broad topic, and I guess from the individual that's asking that question, what would you want to see in content? Because value-based purchasing is based on, there's a lot of metrics in value-based purchasing. Your star ratings, quality, quality of the services that you're delivering. I think it's really broad, and I think, we offer a lot of courses that are going to assist with value-based purchasing, but I think to say, oh, let's create a course on value-based purchasing would be really, really hard to do, other than something really broad that's a definition of value-based purchasing. And I think even that, can be a little bit all over the place depending upon who you talk with. But I get what you're saying, but I think there's a lot of components to value-based purchasing.
Agreed. All right, so I think that's the end of our session today. Thank you all for calling in and listening in. The Home Care Alliance is very excited for this new partnership and this new member benefit that we're able to provide you. So as we've mentioned before, if you have questions, contact myself, Peggy, or Jonathan at any time. And this webinar was recorded and will be made available to you and also throughout our website as well. So hopefully some of you are convinced and are going to take advantage of this great benefit that we have. And thank you, Peggy, for your time today.
You're most welcome, Megan, and thank you, everyone, for participating.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.